welcome to my first ever vlog in Marrakesh. I'm starting my journey in the main square of Marrakesh. What you see around me is the heart and soul of the city. And the reason that I've come here as my beginning is because it is super central. It's in the Medina, which is the old town. So from here it's really easy to get to the souks. It's really easy to get to the main mosque. It's really easy to get to a few secret gardens that I've planned to see. Now at the moment it's pretty empty because it is Ramadan. So I'm guessing most people are resting inside. But in the night this place really does come alive with snake charmers, one of which is right behind me right now. There are performers, there's food everywhere. There are hundreds of people that gather in this square. So I think that during the evening it is a much more hectic experience than now, even though I have already been harassed a few times. Anyway, it is my first time in Marrakesh, so I have done only a little bit of research just to give myself a rough idea of what to expect, but I'm going to be discovering this place with you, and I think there's going to be a lot of surprises along the way. Well, at least you get a choice of taxi here. You can get the conventional vehicle taxi, or you can go for the slightly more entertaining one in the form of a horse. A few minutes walking from the main square, you will come to the tallest mosque here in Marrakesh, stretching up to 70 meters in height. So take a look at this beauty behind me. It was built in the 12th century, and in the 1940s Winston Churchill actually painted it because he loved Marrakesh apparently. So that was a pretty surprising fact for me to learn. Unfortunately, non-Muslims aren't allowed inside, so I'll have to just admire it from the outside. The mosque has its own gardens, by the way, which I'm about to go see. In case you haven't noticed, Marrakesh all seems to be one color, which is this gorgeous corally shade of red. And it's actually nicknamed the Red City because many years ago they started mixing clay and chalk to get this unique color, and to this day it's still used on pretty much every single building. These passageways, these little souks, are basically found no matter where you try to go here in Marrakesh. You'll end up passing through them all the way through the Medina, which is the old town, right in the center of the city. You'll find a lot of the same things no matter which souk you pass through, so it's a lot of lamps, carpets, spices, clothing, what else? A lot of woven items, and some of them are covered, whereas others are in the open. I imagine that these souks turn into something completely different the moment nighttime falls. Obviously, as I mentioned earlier, now it's Ramadan, so a lot of people are staying home, and it is relatively calm. But I think as soon as the sun goes down, it gets busier, louder. There are probably a lot of people to the point where you can't walk normally. Look at this, artworks as well. That's something I didn't expect. But now I'm going to a place that is one of the most famous tourist attractions here in Marrakesh, and one that I have been dying to see for the longest time. Just when I said that it was nice and quiet and that everyone's probably home because of Ramadan, I was proven very wrong indeed. Well, it's not every day that you get to say that you are in the Majorelle Gardens, which is the #1 tourist attraction here in Marrakesh. It is a beautiful botanical garden spanning over 2 acres, and it was originally made by the artist whose name was Majorelle, who came here in the early 1900s. In 1923 he started constructing this botanical garden. He started building it, expanding it. When he died, Yves Saint Laurent, the world famous fashion designer, bought out this whole villa, this whole area. That was in about 1980, and he made it his own as well. So when two major 20th century artists come together together to work on this oasis. It obviously becomes world-renowned. This Majorelle blue that you see behind me, this is a blue that Majorelle put a patent on towards the end of his life, and there is a Yves Saint Laurent museum, 1 out of 2 in the entire world. There is a memorial dedicated to Yves Saint Laurent, who had his ashes spread here after he died in 2008, and obviously the botanical garden itself is a sight to behold. I feel very privileged to be here, and I can't wait to show you guys what the fuss is all about. This is like heaven for me. I am pretty obsessed with cacti, and everywhere I look here, there's a cactus that I have never seen before in my life. Apparently, he brought these seeds and these plants from all around the world when he started constructing these botanical gardens, and I can definitely see that. If you come to Marrakesh and you notice lots of different palm trees growing all over the place, that is probably because it's illegal to chop them down here, which explains why there are so many, but also why you'll find them in the strangest places, like in the middle of a road, for example. Yves Saint Laurent was such a big deal here that this whole street is named after him. It's a very nice street actually, so when you come here, there's a lot of nice little bars, cafes, restaurants to sit down at. It's a cute little area. I like it. Obviously, no visit to Marrakesh is complete without visiting the famous Bahia Palace, which is where I am now. This palace started its construction in the late 19th century, and it originally belonged to a slave who climbed so high up in the ranks that he ended up being one of the main officials for the Sultan back in the day. So that's a really interesting and inspiring story. And the reason that it might feel like a different style in every single riad and every single courtyard you go to is because this palace was built throughout a pretty long period of time, and things kept being added onto it over and over again, which is why it feels like a bit of a maze and like a little bit of a disjointed style combination. And in case you're wondering, when I say riad, I'm referring to a Moroccan courtyard, and the style is basically having this central bit with water in the middle very often, which symbolizes purity, and then all of your rooms are on the outside. We've gone through about 3 of them so far, and this is the biggest one and the most colorful one. And I am just absolutely mesmerized by the fact that this person started constructing this palace in the late 19th century, and the aim was for it to be the most grand, the most magnificent palace of its time. And I'm just imagining this being here in the early 1900s, which is when it was first opened, and everyone being absolutely floored by what they're seeing, because even today it attracts so many tourists. Like today it is so crowded and it's not even mid-morning yet. As I'm walking around this place, I think what strikes me the most is just the detailing. Knowing that this is all manual work is absolutely astonishing, and it's all down to like the carvings and the paintings and the selection of colors, the woodwork, just everything is pretty mind-blowing. I wish I'd come earlier. It's about 11 a.m. and there's already a lot of people here, but I think if you come as soon as it opens, you should be fine. And if you get this place all to yourself, I think that would be a dream come true. This is the first time that I'm in a room and there's no one else, and it's such a different energy. Stained glass windows. I know that in Europe we're used to seeing stained glass windows in churches, but even these have a Moroccan flair to them. They're totally different. I've decided to freshen up with a little fruit cocktail in the Jardin Secret, which translates to the secret garden. And it's not so secret at all, because actually right outside there is a massive sign that you'll see all the way from the end of the street. So it's quite easy to find. And the beautiful thing about this garden is the fact that its history comes all the way back from about 400 years ago, but it's actually a 19th century palace complex. And inside it is so calm, so peaceful. All you hear is birds and the trickling of water. You can wander around the gardens, you can sit down in this cute little cafe, you can freshen up, and then you can go back out into the souk, into the busy area that is the Medina of Marrakesh. It is so peaceful and so beautiful here. Such a calm oasis. You can hear birds chirping in the background. Look at this. Wow. You might be wondering where exactly I am. I have come to a villa that was constructed by an important political figure in the 20th century, and this place was literally built so that he could impress his guests. And it only became a museum 5 years ago. So not only does it have this astounding, beautiful architecture and gardens, but there's also a cafe which offers coffees from all around the world. There's just so much detail everywhere here. Everything is very three-dimensional. Like, it's got depth, you know, for example, these carvings against these tiles, against this wood. I'm just mesmerized by all of these tiny little carvings that I'm seeing, not only here, but just in general in Marrakesh. Alright, well, I've just come back to my hotel, and I think my first impressions of Marrakesh are that it is a city that feels like a capital, even though it's not, funnily enough. It is one of the 4 imperial cities in Morocco that did used to be a capital in some point in history, but it is not anymore. And I feel that with the popularity that it has, and with the amount of beautiful hotels here, with the amount of tourism, it kind of should be. Not that I've been to any other cities in Morocco, but that's just the first feeling that I get. It was also pretty impressive for me to see the juxtaposition between the different histories here in Marrakesh and the different periods of history that it represents. For example, the Medina, the old town that you saw in the middle, that is from the 11th century, and that is when Marrakesh was first founded. But then something like the Saint Villa is only from the last century. And those two things together, only a 10-minute ride away from each other in the same city, is pretty cool. I think that it is getting a bit chilly now because evening is approaching. It's time for me to go and get ready for dinner, but I'll see you soon. I don't know if you can see me behind all of this food. I think we over-ordered just a little bit, but it's my first proper Moroccan dinner here in Marrakesh, so I'm very excited. I have come to a restaurant which has amazing food, beautiful shows, a gorgeous interior design, and also some really good shishas apparently. What a nice way to wake up, with breakfast right on your terrace. I am staying in the Four Seasons Resort here in Marrakesh. I did a lot of research before coming here to determine which of the nice hotels was the best value for money, and it turned out that this hotel was, and in fact as soon as I got here I got a 4-category upgrade, which was just amazing and totally unexpected, so I'm very grateful to the Four Seasons for doing that for me. I'm gonna show you my room now. I took a video for you yesterday as soon as I got here, so the light might be a little bit different on the terrace, but as you can see it is a gorgeous spacious room, and I've got a nice view of the swimming pool as well. This is a really big resort with a lot of amenities here, so I'm gonna take the time to show you around properly today. Let's go! Today I've decided to do something a little bit different for lunch. Since Marrakesh is a very small city and I've explored pretty much everything there is to see in less than a day, I've decided to head outside of the city and see a little bit of the Atlas Mountains, which surround Marrakesh and other countries on the north side of Africa. The Atlas Mountains span for about 2,500 kilometers and the highest peak happens to be close to Marrakesh. I'm obviously not going to the highest peak, which is over 4,000 meters tall, but I am going to Richard Branson's hotel, which is about a 1,300 meter elevation close to the highest peak. And the hotel is pretty famous, it's quirky, it has beautiful views, it has great food, so I'm excited to see what lies ahead. Well, this I did not expect. I knew that Richard Branson's hotel was at the base of a very tall mountain, but the difference in scenery here is really quite astounding. It's so crazy for me to think that you have the desert and skiing slopes basically equidistant from the center of Marrakesh. What I'm about to do now is try some of these cheese rolls. I've been eating this religiously on pretty much a daily basis here in Marrakesh, just because the flavors of Moroccan food are sometimes a little bit much for my very boring European palate. So I often start with the cheese rolls and then that's how I ease my way into the more traditional stuff. But also, before I do anything, I want you guys to take a look at this beautiful scenery behind me. Look how beautiful! I'm going to show you guys my favorite bits and pieces of this resort now. The history of it stood out to me because it originally belonged to an artist and collector until Richard Branson bought it out in the late 90s and made a mountain retreat out of it, which was apparently the wish of his parents at the time. The only thing that I find a little bit inconvenient here is the distances, because just to get to the center of Marrakesh you have to go an hour by car. So let's say you want to spend a day doing something touristy, let's say you want to go to a restaurant that's not on the hotel, that's an hour each way, so that's definitely some dedication. But other than that, it's absolutely gorgeous. The setting, the mountain views, the fact that you've got animals here, you've got ponds, you've got water. Yeah, I'm really liking this, and it's definitely something different to where we're staying in Marrakesh. And the bread that was served to me at lunch is actually made right over here. It's funny that this is the second time in only a space of about 4 months that I happen to be in one of Richard Branson's properties. In the BVI vlog, which I'll link above now, I did the exact same thing on the other side of the world, and here I am in a Richard Branson property all over again. And I've just come to realize this as I'm walking through this beautiful mountain retreat, because I swear it is a pure coincidence that that happened. But now it is up to you guys to let me know which hotel you would prefer to stay at. Is it the one that I'm staying in Marrakesh, or is it this one, if you had to pick one? Something that I did not realize about Morocco is that they are the main producers of argan oil, which is so famous even in the Western world when it comes to like oils and shampoos and beauty products. So I've asked to come to one of the places where they actually produce argan oil. These women work tirelessly every single day. It takes them about 3 days to produce 1 liter of argan oil, but they obviously separate it up into much smaller quantities and sell as face oil, hair oils, scrubs, soaps, and everything in between. I'm about to try some of it now, and then I'll go have a look around because this place is honestly like heaven to me. Ready to go play tennis now. Haven't played in a while, so I'm pretty sure I'm gonna lose. I was just thinking about how nice it is to be able to speak French in Morocco, since they were a French territory up until 1956, which is super recent obviously. Everyone here speaks Arabic, but also French, and I kind of feel like a local here. Like, people will speak English to you when they see you're a tourist, but then as soon as you answer back in French, they perk up, and you kind of feel like part of their little community here. So that's something that I found to be very useful, a bit skill to have when you're here. But I'm almost at the tennis court now, I can see it. So I'll film myself playing and hopefully not embarrass myself too much. And obviously the next natural place for me to come to after tennis is the spa here at the Four Seasons. The spa here is really well designed. It's got all sorts of things from warm swimming pools to cold swimming pools, to different types of saunas, a relaxation room, an outdoor space, different kinds of facial treatment, massages, so anything you can possibly think of you will find here. I've really enjoyed exploring Marrakesh, I have to say, and I'm pretty sad to have to leave this place soon, just because I feel there's so much more that I can do had I stayed longer. I could have explored more of the Atlas Mountains, I could have gone to Casablanca, which is only a 3-hour drive away, as well as some of the other desert areas and even skiing places. I hope that you guys enjoyed this vlog. I really enjoyed being here and I really enjoyed creating it for you, so thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.